Hey VC, yeah, it's me again. Got a lot of records to show you today, all jazz. As you can see, the title of this video is Unlikely Jazz. So I'll be showing a lot of obscurities and unlikely jazz, basically. You know, that you would be less likely to see on YouTube. So yeah, I have to get down to it because it's going to probably be a long video. Lots of different labels and etc. You know, so some of them I haven't listened to that much yet, so I'm not super familiar with some of them. But I have a pretty good memory for things, so I'll probably have some idea of what all of these sound like. Some of them I probably heard on MP3 years before, or even months, months before, and before I bought the vinyl versions, or some of them I'd probably even just bought on vinyl for the first time, you know, pot luck type thing, see how the record is, and turns up, and most of the time it's great stuff, you know, if you know what you're looking for. Like, starting with the first one, I'm going to take the sleeves off though, the plastic sleeves off. I don't want to do that beforehand. But the first one I bought because it was on Milestone, which is one of my favourite labels for jazz music. And yeah, McCoy Tyner is one of my favourite artists, famously played in John Coltrane's quartet. This is a solo album of his from 1976 called Focal Point. Very cool effect on the album cover. If you look at it close up, you can't actually see what's going on with it, but you look at it a certain way sometimes, you can see that it's made up of dots, and it actually creates an image. But yeah, Focal Point by McCoy Tyner, there he is, the man, one of the greatest piano players I've ever heard. Focal Point by McCoy Tyner on Milestone, great label. Next up, again I have to take all the plastic sleeves off as I go through them to stop any reflections, but yep, this is a Japanese pressing with the Obi strip of Tutankhamun by the Art Ensemble of Chicago. There we go. The Obi strip is not secured, so have to be careful it doesn't come off. There's the rear. There we go. I'll take the Obi strip off and show you the full sleeve. This is on Trio Records. It was recorded in 1969, but I think this is a slightly later issue of it. I can't remember. I've got it catalogued on Discogs, but yeah, it was recorded in June '69. It's on the Freedom series of Trio Records. You got all the famous guys on here, you know, like Lester Bowie, Roscoe Mitchell, George Jarman, Malachi Favors. You know, so it's two side-long tracks. Tutankhamun, Art Ensemble of Chicago. Great famous group. Did a lot of stuff on BYG Actual. Okay, next. This one is a bootleg, I think, Italian bootleg of a ESP disc. I think it's a bootleg anyway. Your Prayer by Frank Wright Quintet. It's a Bass Records release, BASE, but originally it was on ESP, so could be just a reissue, but yeah, maybe a boot. Arthur Jones is on this, one of my favourite alto saxophonists. He played a lot on BYG Actual sessions. Jacques Corso is also on this, on trumpet. Or is it cornet? There's the rear of the sleeve. Yeah, trumpet. Jack Corso on trumpet. Frank White Quintet. Your Prayer. Yeah, this one's pretty good. Fiery avant-garde, free jazz. Quite, I won't say grating, but it's got quite a bit of force to it at times. And next up we have one of the said giants of avant-garde jazz, Sam Rivers Streams, live at Montreux. I think it's 1973. I think Montreux 1973. Yeah, Montreux in Switzerland 1973. Sam Rivers Streams. Very cool back cover photo. This one's gatefold as well. There we go. Show you the gatefold if it will fit in the shot. Got a great photo of Sam Rivers inside the gatefold. Oh, there we go. Cecil McBee's on this, who's probably my favourite jazz bassist. Norman Connors is on here as well. It's just a trio. Norman Connors on drums, Cecil on bass, and Sam Rivers on tenor and soprano saxophones, flute and piano. Recorded live at Montreux. That one's on Impulse. That was mid-70s pressing, Black Label Impulse. Quadraphonic compatible as well, that one. One of my favourites at the moment. I don't think the record's even in the sleeve because it's on the turntable. Another guy who played with McCoy Tyner in the early 70s. It's Azar Lawrence, Bridge into the New Age. Kind of rare one. This is a Japanese pressing of the album. It's not listed on Discogs yet, only the US one is listed. But this one's really melodic, really uplifting. Azar Lawrence still playing today. He was fantastic on McCoy Tyner's Enlightenment album, which is one of my favourites. But yeah, this is pretty cool stuff as well from 74. His first solo record, I think. Okay. These aren't in any particular order. They're it's just a big pile of records to go through. Okay, so the next one I got recently, about a few weeks ago. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And this one was recorded in 1974, but wasn't released until 1977 on 3rd Street Records. He's done a lot of sessions, as usually on congas, for example, with Sonny Rollins, and with lots of other musicians like Herbie Hancock, and one of his early records. But this is M2 May, Rebirth Cycle. Now, the side A of this is a real masterpiece. A real masterpiece, and it's even got electric guitar in it amongst the jazz ensemble. Give you a rundown of some famous people on this. Gene Khan on vocals, Dee Dee Bridgewater, Azar Lawrence is on this, Jimmy Heath on reeds, both of them, Stanley Cowell. Cecil McBee plays bass on this, which is great, really was the guy for the job, Billy Hart on drums, on side A, and there's a mixture of ensembles on side B, I think. But there's a great article on the back as well. This is a reissue of Rebirth Cycle. But I hear it's a European bootleg. I hear it's not even official. I didn't know that when I bought it, but still sounds pretty good. And it's a lot cheaper than getting the original one from 77. It's normally like 80 to 100 pounds. But this one is highly recommended. M2 May, Rebirth Cycle. The follow-up to the 1972 release on Strata East, which was Al-Kabu Land of the Blacks, the double LP. Very avant-garde jazz. very experimental and you know, adventurous stuff. I won't be showing that. Well, I might be showing that today. I can't remember what's in the pile. But you need to check that one out. Al Cable and Land of the Blacks on Strata East from 1972. This one I found locally last year in Swordfish Records in Birmingham in England, and I was really pleased to find an Elvin Jones album on Blue Note in there, because I think it's a very early pressing of it. I think it's a 1970 pressing. I don't think it's an original one, but it's a US one, probably a first reissue or something like that. Elvin Jones, Polycurrents. And there's an article on the back by a pretty famous jazz critic, I think it is. There we go. There's the article on the back. Yeah, or essay. No, it's not somebody that I'm not that familiar with anyway. He wrote the essay, but it's Joe Farrell's on this, who played on CTO Records. George Coleman. It's an ex-Birmingham Libraries copy, actually, this one, but it is pretty good stuff. You know, it's Elvin Jones, you can't really go wrong. Played in John Coltrane's quartet. Next up we have another Japanese pressing that I got locally with the Obi strip. John and Billy by Billy Harper and John Faddis. I don't actually know who John Faddis is, but I'm familiar with some of Billy Harper's work. That I've heard a few of Billy Harper's albums, and it's pretty good. He was on Strata East as well. But yeah, John and Billy by Billy Harper and John Faddis. Let's move the Obi. Let's show you the back of the Obi. The lighting's not great today, unfortunately. But there's the back of the Obi. Remove the Obi now. Be careful with it. No, it's not coming off so easy. There we go. There's the full sleeve. Japanese pressing from, well, it was recorded in 1974, so I think it was probably released a bit later on in 74. It was recorded in March 74. I've only listened to this one like twice, but I enjoyed it. I have to get more familiar with it over time. Next up is one of the earliest jazz albums I got into. One of the earliest albums, by one of the most famous and legendary jazz saxophonists, Artie Shepp. Fire Music on Impulse. I think this is a 72 reissue. Who's on this? It's got some of his more famous tracks. It's gatefold as well. Marion Brown plays on this, Reggie Johnson and Joe Chambers, David Eisenson as well. There's the gatefold. It's got quite an odour, this one. This has been few owners, I imagine, on dusty shelves. And there's the gatefold for Fire Music. There we go. Yeah, it's got some ringware, but this is an excellent Artie Shepp album. It's pretty avant-garde, pretty out there at times. Artie Shepp's done a lot of great stuff. You can't really go wrong with him, to be honest, especially on Impulse. Some pretty obscure stuff now. Some of the artists on this, apart from, well, Nana Vasconcelos is known, but apart from that, I wouldn't say many people have heard of Perry Robinson and Badal Roy, who's an Indian tabla player. Done some great solo records. But this is Kundalini by Perry Robinson, Nana Vasconcelos and Badal Roy. It's late 70s, I think. It's like 1978 and improvising artists. Kundalini, spiritual jazz. There's the rear of the sleeve. Let's get a bit closer to the camera. There we go. Yeah, they got this one pretty cheap. I hadn't heard it before. Bought it, quite liked it. There's even there's quite an exotic selection of instruments on this: clarinet, tabla, wood blocks, berimbau, shells, congas, African talking, tambourine. You know, all that stuff you expect from Nine of Vasconcelos. It's a good record, and it can be picked up pretty cheap. This next one is pretty standard, you know. It's a good record, really good record. I really enjoy this one. It's just the CTI records make amazing sleeves, amazing gatefold sleeves. This is Freddie Hubbard, Straight Life. I think this is a classic record. Herbie Hancock's on this. It's a great lineup, you know. It's George Benson, Ron Carter, Jack DeJohnette, Herbie Hancock, and Joe Henderson. And another guy who I'm not really familiar with, Richard Pablo Landrum. But this is a great record. Really up there with the CTI catalogue, you know, the best of the CTI catalogue. It's gatefold, this one. I'll try and show you the gatefold. It's photographs of the musicians. Go the right way. There we go. Good gatefold. There you are. This is a classic record. Freddie Hubbard, can't normally go wrong with Freddie Hubbard. That one's from about early 70s. It's there's no date on the inside sleeve. I can't remember when this one's from. Early 70s, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I can't find the date on the record or the sleeve, so just look up Freddie Hubbard, Straight Life. Next up, I got for free. When I ordered some records on eBay, they sent me like 2 for free. This is the best of Hugh Masekela. This is really uplifting, African influenced American jazz. Not really avant-garde, but I think it goes into slight avant-garde territory, but most of it's quite easy to listen to. This one's on Uni Records. I hadn't heard Masekela before I received this record, but I quite enjoy this one. It's very vibrant and positive, you know. So yeah, Hugh Masekela, a compilation, the best of. Next up, we have a quadraphonic record by a fairly obscure saxophonist. It's on Impulse. It's Coincide by Dewey Redman. This is QS encoded as opposed to SQ. The quadraphonic playback. Dewey Redman's Tariq on BYGX I consider to be a classic record. This is one of his more, I think this is a bit more adventurous, a bit more avant-garde in a way. There's the back of the sleeve. That's Dewey Redman. I think there's some classic guys on this one. Leroy Jenkins is on this. Don't recognise too many of the guys right now. But yeah, Coincide by Dewey Redman. That was released in about 1974. 75. So just after the apparent peak of quadraphonic sound, they were still churning out the quadraphonic jazz records on ABC Impulse. Next up, we got a classic artist, classic avant-garde jazz artist. I had to bid for this on eBay for auction. We have Love Cry by Ayler. Kind of a rare one to get. You know, this one's got a corner cut in the bottom right corner, bottom left corner in the front. But yeah, this one's pretty scarce in the UK. Some vibrant colours on the back. Love Cry by Ayler. not much else you can say about Ayler. It's just like so influential, you know, spiritual unity and all that, you know, and new grass, etc. Brilliant artwork, lettering on the left of the gatefold. Really nice. I don't think this is one of his best records, but I really enjoy it. I think his quality is pretty good, you know. But New Grass is one of my favourites by Ayler, and obviously Spiritual Unity. This is a reissue, this next one. Got a bit of writing on the back of the sleeve. A reissue of the BYG Actuel release. What About by Andrew Cyril. Drum solos by Andrew Cyril. There we go. A reissue on Affinity. Affinity do some nice reissues. The pressings are pretty good. There's an essay on the back on here as well. Got this one pretty cheap because the BYG Actuel one version is pretty scarce or rare. But this is near mint. This just plays really well. It's a good record, you know. I prefer the art. Well, I'm not sure if I prefer the artwork on this one, but it's pretty well presented. I don't know much about Andrew Cyril, but yeah, this is a good record. This one, if you like drum solos, just drum solos. Another quadraphonic record coming up now by a guy I don't really know much about. Gene Ammons, heavy sax. This is QS encoded on Olympic Records. As you can see on the back, it says QS encoded in the corner. The record's not in the best condition, but yeah, I enjoyed this one when I played it. I've definitely enjoyed this one. A bit more straightforward and ballady, I think. I haven't played it much, but yeah, it's in my collection, so if I haven't sold it, then I must still like it. Yeah, another Albert Ayler record here now on Sonnet. I think it's a UK, yeah, it's a UK Sonnet pressing. Albert Ayler, the first recordings. I got this from the Discovery in Birmingham, England. The Discovery is a good store on the outskirts of the city centre. Albert Ayler, the first recordings. This was probably recorded in Denmark or something like that. I don't know if it says. I got Scandinavian guys on the drums and the bass. So I think this is probably when Ayler did go over to Sweden or Denmark. I can't remember which. But yeah, this is a good record. Nice labels. The Sonic pressings have really nice vibrant pink and orange labels. One of my personal favourite artists, Coloperusia, Maurice McIntyre. This is a live album recorded in Italy in 1979. It's on Black Saint. It's called Peace and Blessings. Live recording. I think this is when Coloperusia got together with some lesser known guys, younger guys, but still like very adaptable and capable. Especially this guy who's called Longinus Parsons, who plays the trumpet, flugelhorn, flute, soprano, alto, and recorders. All those instruments in one show. I don't really know the other guys, but Coloperusia, Maurice McIntyre plays tenor sax, flute, clarinet, bass clarinet, woodcarved flutes, Chennai bells, tambourine and monkey drum, all in the one show. Amazing, really. Amazing multi-instrumentalist. An unsung legend. A BYG Actuel one now. Frank Wright. One for John. Pretty sure it's dedicated to John Coltrane. Actuel 36. Good record this. Really good. Back cover. Same as the old BYG Actuel series when they have a huge photo on the back of Frank or whoever it is, you know. I'm not sure who else is on this record. I'll just check it out. It's Noah Howard's on this. Bobby Few, Muhammad Ali on drums. Noah Howard's done some really good stuff. The Black Ark, etc. You know. But yeah, this is a good one. I'll play this quite a bit. This is an essential one from the BYG Actual series, but kind of scarce. This one I got on this next one. I got on eBay. I didn't even hear it before, and I just bought it at random. It's a cutout, probably been in a sale in the 70s or 1970s or something like that. And I just bought it at random. It's Norman Connor's Dark of Light, featuring Herbie Hancock. Eddie Henderson, Gary Bartz, Cecil McBee's on this again, Stanley Clarke, lots of famous guys. Female vocals on this. So I was very, very surprised by this record when I bought it because I'd never heard it before, like I said. And I played it and I was just really impressed with it. You know, it's not too avant-garde, it's not too straight. It's quite inventive at times. This is on Buddha Records. I was surprised about that. Buddha Records, GRT. Yeah, it's definitely got a Buddha label. Yeah, different label to the early one. But yeah, it's just Dark of Light by Norman Connors. And I think this is the last one. Got through those pretty quick, really. What a personal favourite of mine. Pretty unsung guy again. Reissue on BYG Actual. This is Clifford Thornton. Kachawa. Probably recorded at the Pan-African Festival in '69 or some in relation to that. And probably connected to Archie Shepslav at the Pan-African Festival in some way. But this is really excellent avant-garde jazz. Clifford Thornton. Kachawa. There's the rear of the sleeve. Can't make it out too well, but that's probably them at the Pan-African Festival, something like that. And the sleeve notes are in French, of course, even on the reissue. But yeah, it's a great record. One of the essential ones from the BYG Actual series. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks, VC.